Welcome. So like I mentioned in my last video, this is me releasing my inventory plugin. So let's start with first add the plugin in your plugins folder of your project. And of course you can use this inventory system with any of your project. Now if you have questions, you can just comment down below or on my Patreon, or I have a Discord also, you can join and ask questions there. If you have features you want to request, maybe you can just ask me. If I have time, I might add them. Yeah, but anyway, so this is the project that I'm going to be using. Okay, and so let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is to go to the player controller. From here we are able to add a ISI for sync inventory. Should be able to see, here we go, these two components. So we'll need both of them. One is to manage the UI and one is the actual inventory component. So we'll add both of them. So that's the inventory component. We name it component, and the other one, the manager. All right, so we got both of them. Let's start with the inventory component because that's how you create your inventories. So let's first make a simple player inventory. Okay. So start by selecting the inventory component here, and you'll have this detail panel. All right, and in here, in the inventory category here, you'll find container configuration, right? So we'll add one, which gives us this. Don't worry, we will go over the configs options one by one and explain what they're doing. So the first thing that I want to do is to create a container ID. So a container ID is, I did leave in some example. You don't have to use them, you can create your own, just as long as they use the container ID as the source of the tag. And then you can create whatever container you want. So I do have some here. As you can see, I've created a player inventory, equipment inventory, and skill bar inventory. I will create a player inventory right now, but of course, again, you can create whatever you want. So you would do container ID extra inventory maybe, and then you just add it and you'd use that. It's literally just a name. Okay, so I'm going to name it, if you want, player inventory. So now isMain inventory is just a bool that dictates where the item that you pick up is going to go to. So anytime you pick up something in the world, it has to go somewhere, and it will always go to your main inventory. So if you put this as your main inventory, then anything that you pick up in the world will go into the player inventory by default. So that's up to you which inventory you want to use as your main inventory. Is equipment inventory, we will use this later for the equipment inventory. Right now I'm just going to leave this to false. Now the amount of slots, you can choose whatever number you want. I'm just going to leave it to 100, and this is the number of columns. So columns for the inventory, which I'm going to use then. And we have a widget class to use to display the inventory. Now I have, as you can see, these WBPs, which are widget blueprint. I have some already in. You can create your own. So let's select the player inventory here first, and then let's browse to it, which, as you can see, it's in the plugins folder. Here, let's open it. I highly encourage you to modify this. So this is the inventory, and yeah, to basically all you really need are these. So yeah, you should modify this to your liking and make it fit the theme of your game, of course. But this is what I'm using by default. So yeah, feel free to modify this. And if we go to the graph here and go to the class default, you'll see that there's a UI option here, window. Now there's a couple more options. This is for if you want the UI to be draggable, so you can drag it around the screen. So these are the options for this, and if you want to be able to resize it. Now let's add a input to open the inventory. So I'm going to use, let's do keyboard I, which is usually for inventory. So you press I to open the inventory. So I'm going to do I, and the way to open the inventory that we just created is we need the inventory UI manager. Okay, so I'm going to right click on this convert to a validated get. All right, and from it, I can now get a toggle inventory widget. Now this takes in a container ID, so the ID of the container we want to open. So we just have to make a tag here, and we'll give it the player inventory. Here we go, and that's how you open any inventory that you create. So you just call this toggle widget and pass in the inventory ID. Okay, cool. Okay, so let's see if it works. So if I press I, yep, I can see my inventory now, and I can move it around because I made it draggable. So here we go. Nice. And if I press I again, it closes. So I to open and I to close. Oh, and also you'll notice the mouse is available. Anyway, let's keep going. So next is show item add notification, which I'm gonna say yes. So what this is anytime you add something to this specific inventory, which right now the player inventory, which is going to be our main inventory. So anytime something is added to it, I want to see a notification on the screen that an item has been added to it. So that's that. And also after I selected it, as you can see, it now shows me the option to select a widget class, the widget that's going to show the message. For that, we are going to, so this one, WBP item add notification. That's the one that you need here. And again, this one too, go to it, you can modify it the way you want. Okay, so now before we continue with the other options left, let's first add an item to the inventory and see this widget, if it's working or not, and then we'll keep going. So let's first do that. So let me go back to the contents folder. I'm going to make a new folder here, which I'm gonna call, actually let me just put that in the blueprint here. Make a new folder called actor. In the actor folder, find the blueprint class and find the inventory actor. Here we go. This one, inventory actor. So I'm gonna make a PP, let's call it pickup actor. Cool. So now I have this. And if I open it, I need to give it a mesh. I don't think I have a pickup mesh. Nope. So let me just do, let's get in any mesh. So basic, where is it? Shape, to cube here. All right, I got this cube. So I'm gonna take that cube, go here and use the cube as the mesh, okay? So it's a bit big, so I'm just going to do like 0.1, 0.1, 0.1. All right, nice. And we need some textures for it. Same thing here. There's a basic shape texture material here. I'm just gonna steal that and plug that in here. Great. That will be our pickup mesh. Cool. I guess this should also be we can find a highlight. So when we get near an item and we can pick it up, I want the, you can make the item highlight, so you know you're close enough to pick it up. So here you look for highlight, and there should be a highlight material included in the plugin. So you can just do this and find the highlight of a material and just give that to your pickup actor. So that is included in the plugin also. All right, let me close this. And here also, let me go back to the contents folder. Let me just delete that from here. Okay, so let's place an actor in the world. Here we go. It might be a bit too small actually. So let me just do 0.2, 0.2, 0.2. Press play. There we go. So now we got the pickup. And also, as you can see, if I get close to it, it lights up, right? So that's the highlight. And this lets us know that we are close enough to pick it up. Great. Now, how do we pick up an item? Let me just close this actor thing, go back to the player controller here. And this time I'm going to use, let's do a keyboard key. Let's do E. I'll do E. I will use the E key and get the inventory component this time. And from the inventory component, you can then call a request pickup item, and this will request to pick up any item that is around us, that is close enough for us to pick up, right? Oh, and also this pickup radius if you scroll, so again, if you select your inventory component and scroll down, you'll find an interaction radius here, which is the radius of the for the pickups. So if I, for example, change this to like, I don't know, 1000, you'll see that now if I press play, it's already glowing, still glowing, now it stopped glowing, and now it's glowing again. So yeah, you can change that here. So I'm just gonna leave it to 200. Okay, so that's how you make a request to pick up an item. So we haven't made an item yet. We only have a pickup actor, but we need to create an item to give to that pickup actor so that when we pick up the actor, it gives us the item that it has. So let's do that next. I'm going to make a new folder here and call it item. The first item that let me make another folder. I'm going to call this potion. We are going to make a simple potion at first. So let's do a simple potion. And the way you make an item is you find miscellaneous here and find the data asset. Now if I type aside, I should find the item definition. This is what we want. So if I select the item definition, I'm going to name it data asset. Let's call it potion. All right. So this is an item. Okay. So the first thing that we have here is the item name. So we'll give it a name. I will say potion. It needs an item tag. That's how item tag is how we move items around. So you'll see that by default there's already some included. So I'm going to select this. So item ID consumable potion. That's the item. So all these tags are included in the plugin also. So you kind of know how to set things up. And of course you can change them. So as long as you're using the root ID, you can change anything that you want, add any tags that you want. We need a icon for it. So let's see if I can find the potion ID. There we go, potion. There's a rarity, epic. I don't know, doesn't matter. Or actually just leave it to common for now. We'll go over the rarity stuff a bit after. There's an item type. So this is a consumable. Right, a potion to me is a consumable. Again, you can create your own types. It's just a tag. We got a item level if you want to change that, a level requirement, a tooltip description. Let's do a small potion heal for 5 restore 5 health per second for 5 seconds. All right. So that's what my potion is going to do. So you can just write your description here. Stacking. Do I want this potion to be stackable? So I will say yes, and let's do a max stack of 10. Can it be used? So yes, this is a potion, a consumable, so I do want to be able to use it. Do you want to consume it on use? So yes, I do want to consume the potion when I use it. So unlike something like maybe you'd have a skill item, like an ability, gameplay ability, and when you use your gameplay ability, you don't really want to consume it. You still want it to remain in your skill bar, for example. So you would not make it, so you would not choose consume on use. But for this one, I do want to consume, and the amount that I want to use is just 1. So you can change this, you can use, I don't know, 10 or whatever number that you want. So I'll just use 1. So every time I consume a potion, I consume 1 potion. Now we'll go over these later. This is just for equipment, so equip and ability. So you don't need to worry about these. Okay, and you should also have next is the effects. So effects and cooldown. If it doesn't appear, just close and reopen this. That's what I had to do because it was not here for some reason. Anyway, so effect and cooldown. So what effects do you want to apply when you consume a potion? So this is made to work with gas, right? So we can apply gameplay effects to our character. So I will apply a gameplay effect. So I don't have any. So let me make one to apply for the potion. So let me go to my blueprints folder here, and then I'm gonna go to gas, make a new folder, call this gameplay effect, and make a new gameplay effect. Just a normal gameplay effect. So GE gameplay effect and call it potion. I want it to have a duration. We'll do a magnitude of 5, period of 1. So every second, need to add a component to this. We'll do a grant a tag also while we are consuming the potion. I want my character to have a tag, which is going to be the tag for the potion. And next is the modifier. So here is where we can affect the so we'll do health of the character, we'll affect the health, and we'll do by 5. So we add 5 health. For the duration is 5 seconds, and it's every second. So every second we add 5 health, which is what we wrote in the description here of the item. Great. So let me save that, close it, and set it here. Potion. So now the potion is going to heal my character. Alright, now we have an item. We'll go over the cooldown after. So right now we have an item. We have a simple potion. And let me go back to the content. The items folder. We need a database to contain the item. So let me make a new folder. I'm just going to call this item database. And in the item database, we'll find miscellaneous again and data asset. And there is a item definition collection, which is what we want. So let me select this. I'm gonna call this a potion database. So you can have many of these. So you can have a database just for potion, one just for weapons, one just for whatever else you want. So yeah, so I'm just going to make one just to store all kinds of potion, for example. Here we'll create one, we'll say this is the potion one. And even inside of them you can have categories, as you can see. So you can have a potion here, you can have I don't know, something like, you can have food, and then you can add items like this. So yeah, so I'm just going to delete that. Right now we are working on the potion. So alright, so now we got our potion. Let me just add this here. So now the potion database contains the potion that we just created. Nice. Let me close that. And we also need another database. So let's do a asset database again. This time we'll use a master item database and call this master item database. This one will contain all the small databases that we have. So let's say we have a potion database, a weapon database, and all that stuff. So all of them will go in here. So as you can see, if I open this, I can add the potion database, and if I had more, I would be adding them here also. This is all for the sake of keeping things neat and organized. So you don't just open one database and you have a mess of like 100 items in them and you don't even know which item they are and stuff like that. So now it's just organized neatly into smaller databases. Great. So let's assign this master database that we have now. So if I go to my player controller again, select the inventory component, scroll down a bit, you'll see that there's a database here, item database. So if I click on it, now this is the one that we just created. I can set it here. So this gives the inventory component access to the items that we just created, so the potion for now. So let's try and pick up a potion. So I'm going to select this item in the world. You can type pickup here, and you should have a item tag that you can set on it. So I'm going to do potion. Alright, so this is a potion now, a pickup for a potion. And let's do 15. So we'll pick up 15 from it. Alright. So now if I press, and again we have the E key, which requests to pick up item, right? So if I press play, okay, I'm just gonna walk up to the item. As you can see now it's glowing, right? And let me open the inventory so we can see. So now if I press E, yep, as you can see, I got the item. And here you can see the tooltip. It says a small potion, restore 5 health per second for 5 seconds. Great. And of course, now that we have an item in the inventory, you can move them around. And if I right click on it, we can split it, right? And we can delete it. So if I drag and drop, oh, actually not yet. We'll set this up in a bit. Yeah, so here we go. And if I click on it, as you can see, it's consuming the potion. But of course, there's no cooldown yet. Right. So let's continue. So the next thing is the layout configuration. Oh, and one thing, the notification. So as you can see, when I pick up an item, right, as you can see there's a notification that says potion 15. Let's multiply this. So I'm just going to go in the level here and duplicate this item. Let's do save. Right, so now if I press play, go next to them and then pick them up. Yep, as you can see, I've picked up a bunch of potions. So where were we? So here, next is the slot layout config. We will go over this one later. We don't need it right now. The next one is allow delete on empty drop. So this is what will allow us to delete an item when we click on an item and drag it outside the inventory. So right now, if I press play, let me pick up these potions, right? Open the inventory. Now if I click on an item, drag it outside and release, you can see now it asks me if I want to delete the item. Right, so I can say yes, and then it deletes it. So if you want to have an inventory that you can't drag and drop things from it to delete them, you just have to untick this. But for my player inventory, I do want to be able to delete things from it. Create reference, we'll go over this one after. Visible on spawn, we don't need this right now for the player inventory, but all it does is if you want the inventory to be visible by default. So if I press play, you'll see that the inventory is already visible and I didn't even open it. This is useful for something like a skill bar inventory. Your skill bar should always be visible for the most part. So you would select this option so that as soon as you start the game, you have your skill bar on the screen. So I'm gonna uncheck this. Next is affect input mode. So it's true by default. So all it does is that right now, since it's true, so as you can see this right now, I'm able to move my camera and stuff. So we are in the game mode. So if I press I to open the inventory, you'll see that now I have access to my mouse, right? And my camera is not moving anymore. So this is what this does, unless I right click and then try and move it, but yeah. So this gives us access to the mouse, so we can click things around, and if I close the inventory, it goes away. So this is what this for. So affect inventory means that every time the inventory is open, to show the mouse cursor, basically. Now, can receive input, so I'm going to put that to false right now, because we don't need it for this specific inventory, but we will go over it later. Item allowed, types and equipment allowed. Also, this is, you can actually do that here, but this is to set what type of item you actually want to go into the inventory. Right now, there's no filter, so any item can be picked up and added to this inventory. But for example, maybe we wanted only a specific type of item to go in here. We could do, let's say, only materials can be picked up, or only gear items, or we can do both. So materials, and then this, let's do gear items. Only these types of items can be picked up and added to the player inventory. So now if I try and pick up these items, I cannot. I'm spamming the button, it won't pick it up. So yeah, I can't pick them up because I have this filter now. So let me remove this. We'll make use of the filter in a bit. Okay, great. So that was that. So let's go back to the potion and do a cooldown for it. So I'm gonna go to the gameplay effects folder that I have, and let me just make a new folder and call this, let's say, cooldown. All right, and here let me make and I'll make a new folder, call it potion, and put the gameplay effect for the potion in here. All right, so cooldown. Now let's make a new gameplay effect. So let's do gameplay effect, GE gameplay effect, and call this cooldown potion. So we'll give it a duration, and we'll do, let's say, 10 seconds. That's going to be the cooldown of the potion, the small potion. And let's do, is it component here? We need to add a tag. So we'll do grant tag to actor, and the tag that I want to grant is going to be a cooldown tag. So as you can see, we have a few here. Example, a cooldown tag for a consumable, but let me do this and do potion and add this. Okay, so that's going to be the cooldown tag that I'm going to use. So cooldown, consumable, potion. Now I can save this, close it, go to here and go to the gameplay effect here for the cooldown and set it here. And we have an option that says apply cooldown on use, which I do want. So as soon as I use the item, I do want to apply the cooldown. So it's going to apply this to our character. Now I do want to enforce the cooldown. So right now it's not enforced yet. So I need to go to the potion gameplay effect, right? where I'm modifying the attributes and all that. And under component here, let's add a new one. And I'm going to add a required tag to apply continue this effect, right? And in it, I'm going to open the application tag requirement. I'm gonna say here where it says must not have tags, I'm going to add my cooldown tag. So add this. So to apply this gameplay effect, my character must not have the cooldown tag. So if the potion is on cooldown, we can't apply this gameplay effect. So let's close this. And now if I press play, let me go and pick up these items. Yep. And then if I use it, as you can see now, you can see the cooldown. Great. So it works. And if I try to click on it, nothing happens. Yep. Click on it again. Now it works. And right now it doesn't work. I'm spamming it. Nothing happens. And we just wait for the cooldown. And now we can use it again. Great. You can delete the item and all that stuff while it's on cooldown. It doesn't matter. It works. Nice. Okay, so that's pretty much it for things like consumables and potions. Next thing that I want to make is let's make a skill bar, right? So I'm going to go to the inventory component here. So I'm going to collapse this and add a new one. All right, so this new one, let's create I'm going to make a skill bar inventory. So this is going to be a skill bar. So my skill bar is not a main inventory. It's not a equipment inventory either. The amount of slots in it will do, let's say 20 and 10 columns. The widget for it is already in the plugin. So WBP skill bar widget. And again, feel free to modify this to modify the actual skill bar inventory. And you do have access to, if you go to the graph and default, if you want to make it resizable and draggable and all that stuff. Anyway, so I don't want to show item add notification. There's no point. This is my skill bar inventory. I don't need the notification for it. Slot layout. The slot layout is something that we are going to need now. So what is a slot layout? It basically allows you to modify each and every slot individually. So what I mean, let me show you. So if I select, I'm going to put this on visible, and also I'm going to remove the affect input mode. Okay, let me press play. Here, as you can see, I have my skill bar, right? And I want to be able to press a button to trigger something from my skill bar. So if I go and pick up these items, right? And then I drag and drop them here, for example. Right now, I can't do this. Right now, I can't use the item from my skill bar by just pressing a key, right? I would want to be able to assign a key to a specific slot. So let's say if I press 1, I want to use the potion that is in that first slot there, right? I want to be able to use this here if I press the 1 key. Or if it was here, I want to be able to press 2 and use it from here, and etc. So this slot layout config is what we are going to use to be able to set this on each and every slot. So I'm going to make a new folder and call this the inventory configs. Okay. Now to make one of these slot layout config, we need a couple of things. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to need is a data asset and find a slot profile registry. That's the first thing that I need. Let's create one of these. So DA for data asset, I'm going to call it slot profile registry. What is this for? Okay, so if I press this and then I select a slot profile in here, now I can create a profile for a slot. So I'm going to name this skill bar slot. Okay, so now I have a skill bar slot, so I can apply some rules to it. So for example, if I want this specific slot to only be able to take in a specific type of item, so I don't want potion to be able to be put in that slot, I can dictate that here, right? But for the skill bar slot, actually I don't need to do anything special to it. I just need this, I just needed this slot profile registry. The next thing I need is another data asset. As you can, a slot layout config. So let's make a slot layout config now. So DA, I'm gonna call it skill bar config. Alright, so let's select this registry that we just created before and add an entry to it. So this is where we can select the slot that we want to modify for. So what I mean by this is, for example, slot 0 here. So if I press play, when this inventory is created, so it's created with slot 0, slot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then this is slot 11, 12, etc. So this is how the slots are created, right? So from top to bottom. So this would be slot 0. So if we wanted to modify this slot, for example, this would be slot 10. So let's do, so if I go here and do slot 10, I'm going to set its profile to a skill bar slot. And as you can see now I have an input tag. So I'm going to do input tag is 1. While we are here, we might as well make a couple. So let's add 2 more. I'm gonna do the slot and slot 12 also. Let's do same thing for both and set slot 11 will be 2 and slot 12 will be 3. Great, so now we have input tags. So let's go to the player controller again and set this skill bar config that we just created. Great, so now if I press play, as you can see there's number on them. So 1, 2 and 3. So these are the keys. So if I press these keys, I want to be able to trigger whatever is inside of these slots. Now, how do we do this? So you could do this in the C++ also. Oh, by the way, yeah, everything that I'm doing here, you can do in the C++, but yeah. Okay, so what we want is to be able to press a button. For example, here, for now, I want to be able to press, let's say, the 1 key and trigger this slot, right? So I'm going to change, I'm going to create a keyboard 1. So if I press the 1 key, I'm going to get the inventory UI manager, right? From it, I can then do a handle input press, and there's a input release also. So we'll do input press, and the input is going to be 1. Oh, and for the input, feel free to add more tags or use your own input tags. So I'm going to do 1 here, and I'll do this same thing again. Oh, not this one, the UI manager. Do this again for release. So when I release the button, I want to call handle input release, and the same thing again, input 1. So now we can handle the input being pressed and released. And let me just actually copy this, paste it, change the key to 2. Change the input to 2. There we go. We'll do it one more time. Change the key to 3. Change the input to 3. Change this one also to 3. Great. And so now, if I press play, you'll see that now, if I press a button, as you can see, the slot is, so you'll see, for example, if I press 1, you can see the slot is changing size, letting us know that we are pressing it. Same for 2 and 3, right? So now we know that these slots are working. So if I go and pick up some items, drag this and put it in my slot 1, for example, and now if I press 1, see, it works. It goes on cooldown, and of course we can't use it again because it's on cooldown. Now that it's done, if you press it again, boom. All right, let's close this now. So next is the allow delete on empty drop, which for my skill bar, I do not want. I don't want to be able to delete items from it. I want to only be able to delete from my main inventory. Why? It's because I'm going to select this option also. So create reference on cross container drop. So for my skill bar inventory, I'm going to select that. What that means is that now if I press play, go and pick up some of the items, you'll notice that actually, let me put it on this here first. Let me just set it to false first so we can see what it does. So if I pick up all these items and then I click on the potion and drag and drop it in the inventory here, you'll see that it moved. We don't really want to move, but we don't really want to move an item like this. The item should remain in the, personally I want the item to remain in the player inventory. So if I select this option here, it's going to create a copy of the item instead. So you'll see that now. If I pick all of these up, click and drop, and drag and drop this here, the item is still in my inventory here. It did not disappear, because what I did is now I made a copy of it. And you will also see that now it says 60 here as the amount of potions. That's because the copy that I made, it's showing the aggregate amount of all the potion in my inventory, right? So now if I use this potion, so put it here and press 1, it uses the potion here, so this one went to 9 instead of 10, and you'll see that now I have 59 potion, right? So this is just a copy. So, and also you can drag as many as you want. So for example, you can do this, and they are all the same. They are all going to be just a copy of the potion. Now, if I drag and drop, as you can see, this is how you delete. You're not really deleting an item. As you can see, the item always remains in the inventory here. I'm just removing the actual copy that I made. So my potions are all in here. If I did want to delete something, I would have to drag and drop it from here. Right, so that's what this is for. So create a reference means that instead of copying the item and the entire item to the new inventory, it will just create a copy of it there. And affect input, I put to no. Can receive input. Yeah, we do need this, so that's how we are able to use the keys here to trigger something. So can receive input. Receive input when window is closed. So I'm gonna leave that to yes. So maybe you want to hide the UI, you want to give the player the option to hide the UI and still be able to use potions or use skills or whatever. So you can just tick that here and put that to true. And that is pretty much it for the skill bar inventory. Actually, now next let's make an actual ability to add to the skill bar. So in this project I already have a couple of abilities set up, so we can just use them directly. So I have some abilities here in this project, right? Ignore this, right? So I have my ability here, my gameplay ability that I want to use, and we are going to make item out of them so that we can put them in the skill bar and use the abilities like that. And also, I guess I will also upload this project. I'll put this project on my Patreon, so if you want to get access to the project here with all the assets and everything, so that will be on my Patreon. Yeah, and same thing for, I forgot to mention, I guess the plugin also will be on my Patreon, but again, it's free, so you just go there and just download it. You don't have to pay for anything. Yeah, so let's make some more items. So I'm going to go to the item here and make a new folder. I'm gonna call this ability. Now inside ability, we need to create a data asset. So si create a item definition. I have an ability for a boxing glove. All right, so I'm gonna give it, so let me give it an item name. So the ability is going to be called boxing glove. The item tag is going to be an ability, right? So not ability, so let's just push this and do item.id.ability.boxing glove. Alright, so that's what we want. An icon for it, so I have an icon. A rarity, let's do epic. The item type is an ability. Level and all that. The description, say uppercut enemies in front of you to oblivion. There we go. That's what this does. Stacking, actually I don't want it to be stacked, so I don't want my abilities to stack. Usage, yes, I want to be able to use it. Consume and use, I don't want to. Equip, don't care about that right now. And gameplay ability is where we select the gameplay ability that we want to use for it. So here we go. So now I've set the gameplay ability, the ability here, and that's the boxing glove item. Great, let's make another one. So you can just make a copy of this actually, just copy paste, change this one to toy hammer. And let me just name this to toy. Let's create a tag for it. Oops, here we go. I have an icon for it. Let's leave it as epic, blah, blah, blah. This is all the same. This one is, let's do summon a big hammer and smash the enemies. Oh, by the way, this is a project that I was working on, where you get to go around and find toys. Like you would pick up toys, and then every toy would give you like a different ability. So this is what this is, but yeah, I don't even know if I'm gonna keep working on this, but yeah, but this is what this thing is. This project is. Yeah. So use gameplay effect. No, we don't care. Cooldown. Oh, actually, cooldown. We could add cooldown to this. Same for the other one. Wait. First, let me change this to the hammer, and we should probably create cooldown for them. Let me go to content. This one, the gas gameplay effect here, cooldown. So let's make a gameplay effect. Cooldown hammer. Let's call it. So has a duration. We'll do 5 seconds, and we'll do this. Add a granted tag to the actor. The tag is going to be cooldown. A ability. So wait. So ability. We'll do hammer. That's going to be the cooldown tag. So let's compile this, save. I'm just going to make a copy of it, paste, rename this one to glove, and change this here. So instead of hammer, here we go. Here we go. So now we have cooldown. So let me set the cooldown here. So cooldown. And actually for this one, it doesn't matter if you do apply cooldown on use or not. So I'm just going to select it. But yeah, for abilities, you don't actually want to apply the cooldown from here. So it's not going to do anything anyway. So you can't enforce it. You can't enforce it from here. So let me go back to my item ability, the boxing glove. Let me do the same thing. So cooldown here. Here we go. Okay, so these are both my items. Let me close that. Next thing that I need is to add it to the item database. So let's make a new one. So make an item definition collection. Open this data asset. Call this ability database, I guess. And in here, say ability. Let's select these two. So the boxing glove and the toy hammer. All right. Let me close this. Alright, so now we have this. So we go to the master item database and add the new one. Alright, great. And now this is set up. And for the cooldown, I'm going to go to my ability. Go to the ability directly here. And there is a cooldown gameplay effect on your ability normally. You just have to set it here. So this one is the glove. Now that it is set, we need to apply the cooldown. So the way you apply a cooldown, you can do commit. You can either commit the ability, which will commit the cooldown and the cost, or you can just commit the cooldown also, just the cooldown. So I'm just going to do this and this. And that's going to commit the cooldown of my ability. So if I do this, same thing for this one. So commit, and down here, let's change this to the, all right, great. Okay, so that's my ability right now. So let's close these. Okay, so now we need some abilities. So I'm going to change this item here, change it to be a boxing glove, and I'm going to change this one to be a toy hammer. But also the quantity, let's do 1, and this one also, let's do only 1. Save all, and let's try and pick them up. So let's press play. All right, for the test, we pick up all the items. That works nicely. All right, and then the abilities that we have, just gonna drag and drop. Let me put a potion too. All right, so now if I press 3, I use my potion. Good. If I press 1, hey, it works. I can use my ability. And yeah, this works. If I press 2, also works. So 1 and 2. Both of them works. Nice. 3 also works. 2 works. 1 works. Neat. Very neat. Okay, cool. Okay, now the also when you pick up stuff, you can see there's the text is a different color. If I go to here, you can see there's different colors and different background color also depending on the rarity. So for example, if I go to my item, the potion, and I change it to something like a legendary or something, and let's do this again. Right, if I pick these up, you can see now it's orange color, and the same for the background and the text, but you can change all of this. This is not fixed, so if we go back to the player controller here and find these widgets, so let me just use this to browse to the sync inventory plugin here. If we go to the UI folder here, and let's say we wanted to change the color of the background, so let's go to the slot here. Oh, and feel free to modify this if you want to. So that's all our, so that's the slot, so that's what it looks like. So if I go to the graph, and here, as you can see, is the cooldown material that I'm applying. You can change that if you want. When I press a button, so when I'm pressing on a slot, so if I click on it or pressing a input key button, so it's changing the scale of it. You can change that here. And here's the rarity, so you can add more rarity. So if you wanted to add a new rarity, for example, so right now we have common, rare, epic, and legendary, and yeah, you can change the color here. So there's a material that I'm using, you can change that, change the color, or not use a material if you wanted to. There's a default one. So here we can add more, so I'll just add, so you can just add whatever you want. So, and it's going to be, so let's do, if I want to know the tag, what is it? I think the tag is item.rarity, and then we can add something like super legendary, right? So if I do this, here we go. So that's how you add a new rarity, right? And then you can set the color and everything for it. Let me do that. And if you add a rarity here, you must add it everywhere also. So if I've added that here, then I would have to go to, let's close this. I would have to go to the drag visual and do graph, add it here also, right? And for the text, so when we pick up items, so where is it, the notification here also, the same thing here, we can change that. So if I go to the graph, notification here, you can see you can change the text color based on the rarity, and you can add more if you wanted to. So yeah, very easy. So that's how you change the colors and stuff for the background and all of that stuff, all the text and all that. You just go to the UI here and modify them. Great. And now the last thing we need to cover is just how to equip items and stuff. So let's do equipping items. So let's go to the player controller, select my inventory component again. We can collapse this and add another one. This one is going to be the equipment inventory, and it's not a main inventory, but it is a equipment inventory. This is important to select. So this is going to be the equipment inventory. This is how the inventory system is going to know that you want to apply the stats on the weapon or armor, whatever you have. You want to apply these to your character. Equipment inventory here will do max. Again, you should make your own inventory widget and stuff, so go and modify the widget. I'll just do a 2x2 just for the sake of the example right now, and select the inventory widget. Again, feel free to modify this as much as you want. I don't need the notification. I do need a slot layout config though. So let me go back here and find the inventory config. So right now I have one for the skill bar. I'm going to make another one, and again a slot layout config. I'm gonna call this one equipment config. Opening it, select this here and add a new entry to it. So I only made what, 2 slots here. Yeah, there's only 2 slots, so let's do slot 0 and slot 1. And also I don't have a profile for it, so let me go to the slot profile registry here. So now you'll see why we have this thing here. So I'm going to add a new one. Let me just minimize this. All right, let's create a new one. Let's call this one, I'm gonna call this main hand slot. So for example, you might have a main hand and an off hand. So let me just make these. So and you might have a slot that is just for your helmet. You might have a slot that is for your chest piece or boots or whatever else you might need in your game. So I'm just going to create these two and do an offhand and a main hand. All right, and let me close this. So now here we can select, I'll do main hand and offhand. Oh, and I did forget to add roles to them actually. Let me go back to the registry here. So for the main hand, I'm going to do a item. I'm going to add a restriction to it. So allowed item types is going to be only gear item of type weapon. Same for this one. I only want weapons to be able to be added to this slot. That's the restriction. And there is also allow equipment slot here, which for the main hand, I'm going to add main hand. And here we can also create more if you want to. So for example, I can do equipment. All right. So these tags are going to be very useful. So when we, for example, if I want to just right click on an item and then equip it in the correct slot directly, this is how we are going to be doing that using these tags here. So I'm just going to make these for now. Okay, so now we can close this. I guess we don't need that anymore. Okay, that's done. So let's add this new equipment config. Now for the equipment config, I don't want to be deleting items from it, and I actually don't want to make copies, but that's up to you how you want this to work. I do want to affect input. I don't need to receive any input. And the item allowed here, I'm just going to make it so that only gear type items can be added to this inventory. Great, and now we do want to be able to open it, so I'll do a new... Alright, so we need a key to open it, so I'm just going to copy this here where we were opening the inventory, the player inventory, and change it to, let's see, just do P. If I press P, I want to open the equipment inventory. Right, so now if I press play and press P, yeah, I have my equipment inventory with the 2 slots that I added. Great. And also, if we try to pick up items, right, and try to put, this is an ability, not a weapon, so we try to drag and drop it in here, you can see it doesn't work. And a potion doesn't work, it won't let us. Great. So now let's make a weapon. So I'm going to go to the items folder. Here we have potion and all that, so I'm going to make a new folder and call this weapon. In here, let's make a item definition. So the item definition, and call this sword. Okay, we'll give it a name, so just sword, and a item tag. So it's going to be a gear, a weapon, and sword. An icon for it, here's the icon for it. The rarity, doesn't matter, we'll do rare. The item type is, of course, weapon. Description, do a mighty sword. Stackable, I don't want it to be stacked. Can use, I don't need it to be usable, but I do want it to be equipable. So if I click on equipable, you'll see that you get a bunch of new options, which we are gonna go over. Okay. So now if I click on the equipment slot, I have these, so I'm going to do main hand, so I want the sword to go in the main hand slot. The mesh for it, I do have a sword mesh, which I'm going to use, right? All of these assets, well, these assets are not going to be in the plugin, but I'll leave them in the project. You guys can have a look or whatever you want to do with it. Now, a weapon needs to be attached to the character, right? So it needs a socket. So if we go to the, if I find my character here, if I open the skeleton of my character, I'm going to find the right hand, and here I already have a socket, but you can add a socket. So the right hand socket is what I'm going to use to put the weapon in. So let me just go to this here and give it the socket. So I want it to go into the right hand socket. Now the problem is we need to make sure that it looks nice. So I'm going to do, let's do idle. So I'm putting my character in an idle pose, and then I'm going to right click on the socket and add a preview mesh, add the weapon in it. Okay, the weapon is too big, So let me just reduce it in size. Let's do something like 0.7, 0.7, 0.7. That's better. And now we just need to adjust. So my camera is a bit too fast also. Let me just reduce that. And now all we need is to find the correct placement. So I'm just going to rotate this, bring this down, move this back a bit more, this here. Right, so you find whatever the best position is. I'm not gonna bore you with this, so let's just skip over this. All right, so I'm satisfied with what it looks like right now. And so what I'm gonna do is copy these coordinates. So this is the relative location. I'm gonna go here and paste that in here, relative location. For the relative rotation also, I'm just gonna copy that and paste that in the relative rotation here. Change the scale, I choose 0.7, 0.7, 0.7 also there. Great, and now that this is done, I want to reset all of this. Okay, leave it to 0, 0 by default, and I can remove the preview asset also. Don't need that. Great, there we go. So now our weapon can be equipped to the right hand socket. This is the location or rotation coordinate for it. Great, we also have stats. We'll go over stats in a bit. First, let's see if the weapon can indeed be added to the character. So now we have the sword. I'm gonna go to my items folder, find the item database, and create a new one here. So let's do miscellaneous, let's do data asset, find the item definition collection. That's going to be a weapon. Let's do weapon database. So all my weapons can go in here. Let's do weapons or just swords. So this is a category for all the swords. So all the swords in the game can go in here, right? Great. And then add it to the master item database here. Weapon database, go in here. Great, very nice. And so now what I'm gonna do is duplicate one of these items here in the level, change it to gear, weapon, sword. Okay, so now this is my sword, and if I press play, all right, let's pick up all the items. Great. Then this, now I have my sword. As you can see, it's a rare sword, a mighty sword. And this is my equipment slot. So what I can do is click on it, drag it, and drop it on this slot. Hey, look at that, works. Or I could just right click on it and it would unequip it, and right click on it and it would equip it to the correct slot automatically. So here we go. So again, right click to unequip and right click to equip it. Nice. And my animation is not made for holding a weapon, so it doesn't look the greatest, even when I'm running with it, yeah. But it is what it is. So in your game, you probably have the correct animation for your weapons and all that, yeah. But this is just an example. Great. So now what's left is stats. So you can also apply stats to your character via your weapons and armors and all that. So how to do that? So we need to create some stats. So for example, here, I have some by default here, a max health and an attack, but you can also create your own. Feel free. Of course, you should create your own stats. So I'm just going to do, let's add 2 stats. I'll do this and that. And I'm going to add, so let's do max health and let's add another one. And let me do this. Let's do stat dot critical chance. Right, and that's how you would add more stats. Very easy. And I want this to increase my max health by 10 and increase my critical chance by, let's say, 5%. So that's what the item is supposed to do. So once we've added this here, you'll see that if I press play again, go and pick up the items and then hover over it. Now you can see in yellow it says plus 10 max health and plus 5 critical chance. So yep. So that works. Very nice. Now we want to be able to have these stats applied to my character. And the way to do that is if we scroll, so in the inventory component, if we scroll down, so what the stats is going to do is just convert whatever stats we've added to, it's going to convert the tags. So where's my weapon? So what this is going to do is to convert these tags that we've added here, these stats that we've added, convert them into actual stats for the gameplay ability. So let's do that. I'm going to go in just put this in here in the inventory configs. Create a new data asset. Look for the item stats here. Item stat registry is what I need. Let's create one of these. Data. And then I'll do just item stats. All right. So attribute mapping. So the stat that we have so far is, let's say, the health, max health. Now I have my attribute set already on my character, so I can match this to me. I can then match it to the max health on the attribute set. Same for, let's do critical chance. I can match it to my attribute set, critical chance. So that's how you convert the stats that you've created on the weapons and armor and all that to stats, to attributes for your character. So that's that. Now we can go back to here and find the item stat registry here and add this in here. Great. And now if I press play, all right, so what I'm gonna do is to show debug ability system. So now, as you can see, my health, my max health is 0. The critical chance is also 0. So let's go and pick up some of the items. Right, so the item is supposed to give me 10 health and 5 critical chance. So let me just open this also. If I right click on it, hey, look at that. Now I have 10 health and 5 critical chance. So it works. And that's pretty much it. So from there, you can pretty much make anything that you want, all kinds of systems and stuff. So yeah. The link to my Patreon is in the description. Again, it's free. You can download it for free. You don't have to pay anything. You just go there, click on it, download it, add it to your project and use it. And if you have any requests or functionalities that you would want to see me add to this, you can do so. And when I have time, I'll do it. Yeah, I think that's it. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.